the game's in 3 dimensions, so I have actually all the depth perception, and you guys get none of it. So some things might look a little bit strange, but just know that I am able to judge these jumps really well because I have full depth perception. But so yeah, timing's gonna start once I reset this chapter, which I will count us down. Let's go in 3, 2, 1, go. Here we go. The game's going to start off with some intro cutscenes of sorts. The background of the game world is presented to us in this storybook fashion, magic storybook that gives us some videos. But the basic idea of the story is some intelligent mouse people are run out of their castle and kingdom by an invading race called the Arcanes, and find safety in a clearing in the woods, set up a settlement, and then this game takes place several years later.
Albeit an unlikely one, did arrive at a time she'd be needed most.
So here we are. This is what the game's going to look like. We're sort of looking down on rooms like this. These blue orbs are my hands in virtual space. I'll be able to move them around and interact with stuff in the environment.
Quill was out adventuring beyond the edge of the clearing. Dusk was creeping in, but she wondered what she might find if she went just a little farther.
Did I mention that this game's adorable? Quill is the best. Yeah, so Quill's sort of out adventuring, and she finds this really shiny rock. Does some magic crap. Who really knows what? But in essence, actually, what this rock's gonna do is, you'll see here in a moment. That rock lets her do is be aware that the player character is here.
She was not exactly sure what she roused, but she felt no danger from the being silently peering down at her.
Which I personally think is a really neat mechanic for this game. So yeah, this is where the intro cutscenes are now over. We're actually going to gain control.
The village gates would soon close.
So I get to move Quill around with the joystick and face buttons, control her actions, what she's doing, while also moving my hands around in space and interacting with the environment. So right here, I'm platforming with Quill on the left and moving a block out on the right, so that Quill's able to climb on top of it and progress throughout the game. And that's what the gameplay of this is going to be, is things like that.
Night, her uncle often warned, was when danger was most present. But Quill preferred the stories of the magical creatures that woke to protect the forest.
A lot of this first chapter in the early sections of the game is just kind of progressing through as fast as possible, cutting corners here and there. This is a forced pickup with kind of a lengthy animation, which is unfortunate, but we're not going to be getting any more of these. This is any percent, and those are slow. So those pickups are sort of scattered around the levels for us to find, but yeah, we're not going to get any of them. Here's another corner to cut. Instead of climbing down all these ledges, we're just going to jump over that fence. And you'll see me jumping here and there. That's basically just because jumping on inclines is very, very marginally faster. Here I'm going to open the door for Quill. You'll also see Quill has this cute little sword. And I'm pulling it out to be able to do a sort of a dash or a dodge, which will be useful in combat later, of course. But right now, it allows us to dash into the screen transitions, which is a very, very small time save. Dashing by itself continuously is not actually faster than normal walking due to a lengthy ending animation on it. But if you dash into a screen transition, you don't get that ending animation. So doing that into every transition in the game saves about 5 seconds or so. Here I'm going to try and make a cycle on this water wheel, which I can slow down using my hand. And this is a good time to talk about sort of the climbing ledges in this game. You'll notice Quill sort of does these two-step climb-ups on high ledges where you jump up to hang off of it and then pull yourself up on top of it. And that's really slow. So a lot of the routing through some rooms is going to involve trying to skip those as much as possible. And on top of that, there's even some ledges, there's some smaller ledges that also have a climb up animation, but we're going to try and skip those as much as possible by jumping really precisely and landing on top of ledges, even when it seems like we're not supposed to be able to. So here we've made it through the mouse village and we've made it home to our uncle.
She raced to the door of the cottage she shared with her uncle, hoping once he saw her discovery, he'd lose himself in tales of its legend.
We want to show him the shiny rock we found.
Uncle Arthur.
But he sort of freaks out, starts ranting about the past, and hacks off into the night, saying he'll be back before midnight, and he doesn't come back. So here we are. If you heard kind of a weird clicky sound, that is a foot pedal that I have that I use to split with live split with while in VR. Very convenient.
Hey, kid! Kid! Wake up! Hey, kid, over here! I know where your uncle went. I can show you. You're twofold now. Very important. Bring that glass, and your sidekick too. We're going to need them.
I'm going to dash through this room because you're locked into a walking speed, so the dashing is actually faster than that.
Quill had never met a starthing. In campfire stories, they often meddled in the lives of mortals. And when they appeared, mischief followed. Passage through the eastern gate was strictly forbidden. But despite her promise, who knew in her heart Quill demanded...
There, we actually went a little bit too fast and skipped some dialogue, but
with your riddles.
oh
Where
well.
is he? What do you know?
Speedruns do not wait for silly things like talking.
The trouble your uncle's heading for is the kind only you and that silent giant up there can get him out of.
Here's a really good example of skipping a climbing animation by doing a precise jump. You can sort of see exactly how that goes. There you go. There's two of them in a row. So normally Quill would do like a little vaulting animation to roll up onto the ledge, but we skipped that.
Urged the starving. And don't forget to tuck your ears in.
Bit of a long load there. Here, this is a thin platform in which you're... Oh, goodness. Well, that's not supposed to happen. Alright. Well, so that's a thin platform that you're locked into a very slow movement speed on. So you want to be dashing across of it because you don't... your dashing speed isn't affected. But I dashed in the wrong direction and fell into the water. But we're alright. Trick ourselves off and we'll just continue on. Here we're pulling some platforms up out of the water so that Quill can jump across, but we're going to skip the last one with a little bit of a precise jump there. And we're just kind of progressing through these rooms. Nothing really major has happened in terms of speedrun strats. It's just kind of cutting corners, taking the fastest lines through rooms that we can. That kind of thing.
On the other side is the mire, the starving assured her. There's a Good chance your uncle's still there.
Also, I want to note, our uncle used the squirrel as a horse. Squirrels confirmed horses.
Did you hear that? The starling seemed anxious. I've ruffled enough leaves in these parts. I can't be seen with you. I'll catch up with you later. Just
Oop, I did not want
don't
to
go
do
and
that.
die on me.
Yeah, we're forced into a little cutscene here where Quill's going to take some damage, and we're introduced to a mechanic where I can interact with Quill for a decently lengthy period of time to heal her. Quill has 3 health. This is indicated by the color of her backpack. It's normally blue, it'll turn orange and then red, and if you take a hit while red, you die and have to start the room over. These spiky brambles will hurt us. We're going to clear them out of our way. Nice, got that jump. That is not the easiest jump in the world. Here we're going to do another jump here to skip half of the platforming in this room. Climb up here. And into our first combat arena. Oh boy. So here I'm going to very shortly use a mechanic that I'm not supposed to know about yet, where I can interact with enemies and sort of drag and control them around. And I'm going to spam click on the enemy as well, which sort of stun locks it so it can't attack Quill back. Oop. I'm going to dash back and forth a couple of times to skip a celebration animation. Oh, nope, didn't actually skip it. Unfortunate. Not too bad, though. There's a couple times that's going to happen.
A whisper echoed through the trees.
Fought like someone who has stolen our champion's power.
So here we get some more story. To sum it up, since I'm going to be skipping all of it by turning these pages as fast as I can, we run into some leaf people who tell us that this shiny rock we found is actually theirs and we stole it, but then they let us keep it. But they take our sword away and replace it with a leaf, and then also wrap some leaves around our hand. Not really sure why they do that, but now we've got this nice green glove. But in all seriousness, they give us a sword upgrade that actually deals double the damage of our previous sword, so that is very nice. Here I'm going to skip a lengthy animation where Quill sort of staggers back from the door opening by just dashing into the screen transition before she can do so. And we are properly into Chapter 3
Quill's
now.
favorite story. How Sir Argus fought beside the Sprite Champion to seal this temple from the arcane and secured the survival of their kinds. Simply standing in their heroic footsteps felt like a great honor.
Here in this next room, we're gonna get our first actual sort of proper skip. And no joke, I found this skip like 30 minutes ago when I was practicing for this run. So here's hoping it actually goes well. I'm gonna pull this block out a bit more, stand on this railing, and jump up there just barely, and then hang on that ledge. Very nice. Oh, nope. There we go. So that skipped some lengthy climb-ups and a little bit of platforming in the back of the room there. Here we get our second combat arena. We're going to skip a little bit of this by making a semi-tricky jump. There we go. We get to kill that guy before he even wakes up. Which, on top of having one guy already dead, also makes these guys wake up faster. So it's sort of pulls double duty for us there. Very convenient. I'm gonna pull these stairs up. turn them around to get enough height so we can jump there and progress. Here we're going to do another semi-tricky jump. Normally we'd have to hang off a ledge and sort of hand walk ourselves across, but if we jump really well right there, we can just skip the gap. Little bit of a zip right there, just for funsies. Also, it's faster. And here's where the game teaches you that you can manipulate the enemies and sort of move them around the rooms. Because you're supposed to drag this guy onto this button, which opens the gate for you. And we're going to be using that extensively, because it lets us multitask. Here's a pretty lengthy puzzle room, the first one of any real, substance in the game. I'm running around on this button because otherwise Quill starts doing this, gawk in amazement at the room kind of animation, and if you get that animation, you guaranteed lose a cycle, which we don't want, because we're trying to go fast. We're going to get her over here to pull this lever back here, which allows us to get this enemy onto this button. So I'm multitasking right now by simultaneously pulling the enemy where it needs to be and platforming Quill to be able to make it back over here in time to get the fastest cycle here. Pull this guy off the button at the right time to let Quill climb up. Put him back on the button. And you can't see it, but this moving block back there actually has an incline to it. Casually, you'd stand up, I suppose, and look and see and move your camera to see that you're able to do that, but I know it's there, so who needs that? I get to stay sitting. Good for me. Got another puzzle room here. Going to try and multitask a bit. That's a long climb up animation that I didn't need to take. Unfortunate. Here I'm going to... it's not really a skip, but I'm sort of going to do this faster by turning that when I'm not supposed to, and then not turning it when I am supposed to. Because I know what the inside of this looks like, so I can just jump up here and get Quill where she needs to be without seeing it. And then Quill's so proud of us. We're going to give her a high five. Good job, us. We did it. I have lost my foot pedal. There it is. Yup. Nice. That is way easier than it looks. That's a case of... I mentioned depth perception that I have and you guys don't. That's a case where it's very useful, because that jump is actually really easy. Here we've got another combat room. This time we're introduced to these orange crabs. These guys have cannons on their arms. Which means they have ranged attacks, but they also have less health than the red guys we've faced so far, so they're actually an easier fight. This one's going to try and shoot us, but I did it correctly. Oh, this is also the first instance where I'm using both of my hands. So I am literally doing 3 things at once. And that's kind of the neat part of this speedrun, in my opinion, is the multitasking you can get up to by having your hands in physical space and Quill running around. I saved a little bit of time by moving the platform while Quill was climbing up onto it. And here, I can move and manipulate the orange crabs just as well, and I can also make them shoot. It's a little screwy, though. They just... Oh my gosh, don't shoot that one again. Shoot that one. Thank you. They like... It'll home in on things you need to hit, but they also like to not do that sometimes. It's not really RNG, but it sure feels like it sometimes. Here we've got another complex puzzle room. Unfortunately, no real skips for this one. So I'm just going to do it as intended as fast as I possibly can. Okay, well, I didn't have enough height on that. That's unfortunate. Around here. Jump over here, pull this lever, which is going to lower this gate here and give us a ranged enemy to work with. Will, can you go over there, please? Thank you. Avoid this guy. Get out of here. No one likes you. And then I jumped there while that platform was going up to skip a celebration animation. Saves a couple seconds. Alright, so we've made it to this chest, which is a little bit of a... It contains a key to a door we saw in the background earlier. And then we're going to fall off. This is an intentional death. By dying like this, we keep the key, and we respawn back up here, which is faster than walking all the way up. Quill also gave us the key to hold, so you can actually sort of see it floating around in my hand here. Which I think is kind of neat. Jump. Jump! That was a little bit closer than it needed to be. This lever. That door in the background is the one that we just got the key to open, by the way. So we're gonna head in that direction. Alright, here we're gonna try and skip the stagger animation. This one's a little bit harder to do. Looks like I got it. That's actually really good. It's a kind of spam actions and hope. That the animation doesn't trigger in between you performing actions. We got a little bit lucky there. And just in case you weren't aware that this game is designed for 3D, we're going to pull this chain into our face in grand 3 dimensions. And if you thought this room looked like it might be a battle arena, you were entirely correct. This is our first proper battle arena. The other ones have sort of been introductions, the enemies have been predictable. But here, we actually get a proper fight. And I'm going to be, basically, the combat in the speedrun of this game is drag the enemies towards Quill, and then slash them up. I want to drag the enemies for at least a minimum amount of time, because if I drag them for long enough, then they take 1 damage and it takes Quill less time to hurt them. I also, very unfortunately, lost a coin flip there. That is the only source of RNG in this entire run, is which one of these center platforms raises up first. And if you get lucky, you just end up right up here at the top already. No running around needed, but I lost the coin flip, and take a little bit of time lost there. We've got another wave of enemies. I believe it starts back there. I was correct. So yeah, these enemies have 4 health, or at least they take 4 hits. And if I hold on to one of them long enough as the player character, they take 1 damage, so Quill only needs to deal 3 hits to the enemies. These orange guys have 3 health, so they take 2 hits. Oh gosh, get me over there in time, please. Oh no, that's really bad, actually. Oh well. And not only did I lose the coin flip, I didn't capitalize on knowing which one of them was going to pop up first. Also, I missed that jump. I'm holding on to an enemy on the left here so that it doesn't shoot Quill while on the button while I'm pulling this chain. If she gets knocked off the button, then that chain breaks and I'll have to do it again. Oh, he tried, but he despawned right at the right time for me. That was lucky. You'll also notice I full healed, so I don't need to worry about any sort of extra hits here. Thank goodness. dinguses. Why are you spawning all the way over there? It's not really RNG, but it feels like it because I never actually remember the sequence of the enemies. But it's all good. That celebration animation's unskippable, by the way. Unfortunately. As far as I can tell. At least I've never done it. So there we go. We're finally done with the temple chapter, and we are going to progress to the next section. This room, we're locked into a walking speed, so we're going to dash.
The cavern river. Its guiding banks once led her people to safety after the Cinder Night. Now, all these years later, she would follow it back.
And after the arduous temple, we get a little bit of a break here. Some cutscenes, basically. Auto-scroller rooms. Not too long, not too bad. But so far, in general, this game has been doing rooms as intended, but fast. Skipping some corners here and there, making some semi-precise jumps to skip some animations. But now the speedrun really picks up. There's a lot of complex puzzles coming up, and a lot of them have skips for them, some of which are very precise and difficult. So here's hoping I actually get all of them. But yeah, the speedrun actually gets hard right about now. Here's some more lore, though, first. We get another storybook cutscene here. The gist of this one is the purple spark that's been following us around reveals his name is Adurin, and that he's also a bird person. That is the extent of that cutscene. It has no significance besides that. If your eyes were sharp, I'm not actually sure if I was looking well enough at it for you guys to see it, but for exactly one frame after that cutscene ends, Quill is in a T-pose. This is also the next morning, if it's not obvious. And remains adorable.
Durin was nowhere to be found. But looming high on a distant bluff was the castle. A stark reminder of what mattered most.
Alright, one last puzzle that we actually do in the intended way.
And readied herself for the journey ahead.
Oh, I managed to forget that I have to raise this platform up. Good job, me. There we go. It always looks like you can make these jumps, and then you just barely can't. No, don't let go. Alright, here we've got another combat arena, and we're actually going to get introduced to another enemy type. Also, I'm going to show you that you can break these sort of boxes and pots with the player character, which is kind of neat. But yeah, these green guys, they have 1 health and explode. But note that they have 1 health, which means that the 1 damage that the player character does is actually enough to take them out. So, in combats where these green enemies are interspersed with the orange and red ones, we're going to try and take the green ones out with the player character as much as possible. Also, that 1 damage I took is completely unavoidable. There we go. Oh, didn't skip that. Fortunately, doesn't matter. Alright, so these, we've got some platforms, elevators basically, that are moving up and down. If I do this really, really well, I might be able to make an exceptionally fast cycle that I've only ever made once ever. And it wasn't during a run. I'm gonna go for it. I didn't make it. Oh, that's unfortunate. Yeah, I exactly once ever I've been able to jump up onto this platform up here. Also, I'm going to break some boxes so that we can take a straighter line to the exit, and there we go. Alright. So those puzzle skips I was talking about, and this game getting hard. Here we go. Here's our first one. We're going to do half of this room, but not in the intended way, and then we're going to skip the rest of it. And bring this guy over here so he can break a wall for us. And we're gonna bring another guy over there so that he can flip a switch for us. There we go. Now we're up here. We're gonna pull this lever, which opens the gate to the exit. And then we're gonna stand on this lever. And get on this. Whoa! You were supposed to land on the wall. I am not going to lie, that is the first time I've missed that jump in months. Oh goodness. Alright, this is kind of a long recovery. That's unfortunate. Excuse me. Alright, let's get it this time. Land on the wall. There we go. And jump over here. There we go. That's what was supposed to happen the first time. Unfortunate bit of time loss, but you can sort of see how there's a lot more of the room that we're supposed to have done, and we didn't do any of it. But despite our one failure, we did succeed. And we will progress on. That's actually the end of this chapter, the end of chapter 4. And we'll be moving on to chapter 5. Give Quill a good high five. She's so happy that we actually succeeded even after our failure. Very important to be encouraging to your video game partners. Break that box, because it's going to be in our way in a second.
She'd seen this view before, in a drawing from her uncle's library. Being here made her heart flutter, and then sink. If the story of her family had been different, this would have been her home.
That jump over that fence is actually not easy. Alright, here. You're going to see the perspective shift because I've stood up to get a better perspective on this trick coming up. Advantages of having the camera attached to my head is I can change where it is at will very easily. But this is the railing walk. This is the most precise trick in the run. Actually, that might not be true. But it is still very precise. We're gonna get on this railing, which is not intended. Walk over here. If I do this fall just right, we do not get shot. Excellent. So this giant metal ball, we're about to see another one right here. Is a sentry. And the sentries, if they have line of sight on you for long enough, insta-kill you. Here we're going to have another trick. I'm supposed to do a sort of puzzle sequence to unlock a barrier that would be in the way of this hole in the wall. I did not get it, unfortunate. But we are just going to try and dash across that giant gap in the wall fast enough that the sentry doesn't see us and we don't get shot. But I did get shot, so we're going to try again. That's pretty good. There we go. Alright, we made it. And we're going to do it again. No. No. Look away, Mr. Sentry Boy. Thank you. Oh, that's unfortunate. Except it was intentional, because we made it high enough up on the stairs that we respawn up top here and skipped a lot, by the way, of this room. It's a very lengthy sequence to raise the barrier that you normally need for the intended solution of that room. But now we're into the city proper. And I sat back down so the perspective is more normal. This room here with this fountain and these steps and such, if you are playing the game casually, you'd recognize from the book in the beginning, very, very beginning of the game.
Was back.
But
Hey, kid.
it's kind of taken over.
Took long enough. I found your uncle, but the master sentry's been activated. I'm trying to sort it out. This way.
So yeah, we can't keep going because there's a very, very big sentry up there.
My uncle? Is he okay? Quill inquired. He's alive for now. We must act quickly. As long as that master sentry is watching, the path to the castle is a dead end.
Alright, here we go. Another puzzle room. This one also has a skip. I'm gonna break some thorny vines that are in Quill's way that you can't quite see behind that pillar. And then the skip is right here. If I do it properly, this enemy can get an angle on that switch and raise himself up. That skips a bunch of this room. Why are you going over there? Shoot that thing. Jumped as that pedestal was rising to skip another little celebration animation, saving a second or two. And we have grabbed the yellow MacGuffin. Yes. We need 2 MacGuffins, so now we're going to go get the other one. First, we need to go back through this room, which is now full of enemies for some reason. I don't know where they came from. But we can just run through and ignore them all. That load is always really long for some reason, at least for me. Despite us having already been here. Now here, this room has kind of an interesting skip. This strat that I'm about to do... Where am I going? I'm going over here. The strat that I'm about to do is actually known and intended, and there's an achievement for doing it on Steam and most platforms where... and Steam and PlayStation, which are the 2 ways in which you can play this game. But instead of doing the intended solution of climbing up and around, we're going to just kind of hang off this ledge, which gets us out of the way of those wooden boards. It is marginally faster, not too much of an actual like time save, but it is cool and skips a bunch of the room, so I'm gonna do it. And it's enough time save. It's a speedrun. We gotta save all the time we can, right? Now we have the red MacGuffin. Both of the MacGuffins we needed. We'll take them back to that center room. Yet again, enemies spawned from who knows where. As we run back and hopefully don't get shot. Nice. Oh, get Will. Thank you. Put in the MacGuffins. Here, I'm actually going to have Quill jump down off this pedestal, rising up, and come over here to the screen transition. So she crosses it right as I finish up, and that skips a lengthy animation. But
It should be a straight shot to the castle now.
As you can see, we've turned off the Master Sentry there. I skipped the animation of it turning off by hitting that screen transition at the right time. God, words.
Oh no, these are powerful arcane hexes. I can try.
This is the most complex and most difficult fight room in the game, and therefore is also the hardest to optimize. There. Should be the last enemy of this wave. Nope, I lied. There we go. Like the earlier difficult fight room, there are 3 waves to this room. I know generally where when and where the enemies are going to spawn, but I'm also not that great at remembering them, so I might forget 1 or 2. Get. Oh, get down here. You might notice that I have 2 hands, but I'm only using one of them. The reason for this is because you can only control one enemy at a time. If I start controlling a second enemy, then the first one becomes decontrolled. So it's not, there's not really much time to be saved by using two hands to control enemies. Ow. Okay, so we've taken one hit. That's good to remember. It is technically, you can, if you really need a green enemy dead right now, it is technically faster to have Quill hit it because it blows up faster. So like right there, I'm gonna do that. But since Quill needs to do so much running around in this fight as well, it is generally faster to have the player take care of those green enemies. So, unfortunately, the Master Sentry is turning itself back on.
I can't, kid.
Shouted at Durin.
We have to get out of here.
I want to give you fair warning, there's going to be a very, very bright flash on screen right now if you're sensitive to that sort of thing. In just a moment. Alright, if you looked away, then you can look back now. It is over. We escaped into the sewers and did not get shot. I'm also realizing that I skipped a bunch of splits. So I'm going to do that to my live split. There we go.
I've made a terrible mistake. What is this place? What's that smell? Durin?
I don't want that attack animation. Oh well.
I'm so sorry, Quill. I really am.
That's the big bad, if it's not obvious. Alright, more story. The gist of this story is we escaped, but Adurin dies. Very unfortunately. Quilla gets really sad about it, but then we, the reader, as the game calls us, comfort her and tell her we're going to take the big snake out. So we're going to go do that. Or at least try. I'm going to stand up here to get a better perspective on a little bit of a tricky jump. At least the tricky jump if you can't really see what you're doing. But I made it, so we're good. Turn around the enemies. Get to that ledge climb because it's slow. Jump up some stairs and keep going. Get on the... Thank you. Test fire. Real fire. Got him. Wasn't quite enough yet, though. Oh, God. I need to break those boxes because they are very in Quill's way, and it is faster for me to break them than for her. I also need to grab that enemy so he doesn't shoot us. There we go. Here we're going to do some quick dashes for an animation skip again. Hit that screen transition. Faster than we should. avoid a big snack. Shoot the snack in the head. I guess that's more the neck, but still, shoot the snack. I stood pretty far away from that because the hitbox on that is surprisingly large, and I have died to it because if touching him is an instant kill. Alright, so this room, Starfog's going to start shooting some projectiles on us, so I'm actually going to wait a tad. And if I did that right and make a jump right here... Cool. I made the jump. The cycles work themselves out, and I don't really need to worry about it. Hopefully we don't fall off of this. There we go. He's going to start shooting those projectiles at us. Or no, he's going to do that first. Now he's going to start shooting those projectiles at us, but if we just go fast, we don't need to worry. Oh, maybe we need to worry. Oh, we're good. Okay. Alright, here we go. This is the most difficult room, I think, to get those projectile cycles. Oh, no! I don't know how they're going to work now, because I missed that jump. I might get shot. These don't get shot. I got shot. Well, that's unfortunate. Let's try again. This time we'll actually get the cycle that I'm supposed to get. Get up there. Nice. 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 Oh, we made it. Stab a snake with a door. Stab a snake with a leaf. And there we go. We did it. Big Snake is dead. Actually. And time's going to be coming up real soon. Not quite yet. I'll call it. It is on the third screen transition here. That's one. This is the ancient castle of the mice.
Searched the silent halls.
Uncle? Uncle!
She called. But
And
only
on
her
this
echoes.
next screen transition will be time, coming up very, very soon, couple seconds. And time. So there we go. That was Moss. This is a VR platformer made by Polyarc Studios. And it is intended as the first of a series. The ending, if you actually follow the full story instead of my synopses, this ending is not very satisfying, really. You rescue your uncle and you kill the big snake, but there's a lot of teasing towards more to do. This is intended as the first of the series, so I am personally very excited for the rest of these games to come out. This game was very well acclaimed, so they should actually do so.